everyone. My name is Azia Farzana binti Badduwie, and I'm very pleased, very excited to meet you today at the gamification seminar. My slot is to learn, to play, and to love, whereby I would be sharing some of the way I integrated gamification in the learning process and journey with my kids. So let's get right into it. The first round, just a short introduction on who am I. So who am I? This is me. Okay, I'm a primary school teacher, and my kids, they call me Miss Azia, and I serve at SK Sungai Sebatu, Subis. So Subis is a lovely small district located in Miri, Sarawak. And I am an English language teacher, but at times I also pick up other subjects as well. So here's a little sneak peek of my wonderful kids just to get things started. So tell me if my videos are lagging or you can't hear any sound, okay? So these are my kids. I'm teaching in a P1 school, Pedalaman 1, and we have around 100 kids. And most of them are from are Iban, and some are of other races as well. So we had a wonderful journey throughout these years together. So for the next, moving on to the next round is the part where I share with you 4 different ways I integrated gamification as a primary school teacher. Can you hear me speaking? Is that okay? Because I hear somebody says no sound.
I think the sound was referring to the video just now.
Okay, I purposely keep the sound a little bit low because I'm going to narrate it. Okay, so next is, the first one is gamifying English lessons. So here we did a little bit of phonic dance. And this is actually a way for me to introduce the alphabet and letter sounds to my kids who are in year 1. It's basically like a game whereby every lesson I will teach 2 new letter sounds, including their names, sounds, and actions. And this will really help them in the next stage of reading later on. And the next is Fast Phonic Challenge. And this is actually a continuation of the phonic dance, whereby pupils need to finish to speed read through a list of words within the time given. So let's see one of the example. So every time they are able to beat the clock or beat their previous time record, they can collect stickers, and those stickers will be exchanged with a prize later on. Next, I also did gamification in the classroom, whereby we did color hunt. So color hunt is a pretty straightforward game. I just show them one of the cards and then ask them to look for objects around the classroom. And it's cute that they are able to notice the details in very, very little things. Besides that, we also have what's in the bag. So basically, I put objects in the bag. Each people will place their hand inside it and grab any object randomly, guess what is it, and present it to their peers. So I've used this multiple times. It's very easy to adapt. You can use it for other topics as well, animals, household objects, and so on. And in this particular video here, the kid is actually teaching his friends on how to fold clothes properly. So that was one interesting finding while I was conducting the lesson. It's a learning opportunity. And also we did Seasons Mobile, where we learn about various seasons. So in the beginning of the lesson, I send them off to a treasure hunt where they have to find pictures of objects related to seasons, which they did in the class early on. Then they have to classify. They have to classify the pictures into the different type of season. So we have summer, winter, autumn, spring. And then we decided to hang them and make a mobile out of those pictures. And we put it inside the classroom as a visual reminder of the fun that we had. And then also the kids, they were very, very proud to see their artwork being hung in the class. So that's one of the ways for us to appreciate our kids. And this is a slightly more complicated game. So it's called airport immigration. Basically, the kids need to pass through the immigration officers at the airport before they are allowed to enter the plane. So first of all, we did a round of introduction. So each kid, they were given a passport and they need to fill the passport with the countries that they want to be in. So then they will have to introduce themselves to prepare them for the next stage. And then some of the kids will become the officers, immigration officers, and have to ask the details. For example, their name, their country of origin, where they want to go, and they have to fill in the form. While the other side will have to introduce themselves. And there are different roles also. So it's not only these two, we have police officers over there. And the trick is to not let they see the passport, because if you show the passport, then they will just copy down the answers. So we don't want that. We want interaction. This is a listening and speaking activity, so interaction is vital. So I asked them to hide the passport before telling it. And for some kids who are unable to introduce themselves, they were detained by the police. They were detained and put in a detention center. And it was funny to see that they were helping each other so that they can pass the next stage when they try again later. So that was a fun game for us. I think this was sometime around last year. And then, like I mentioned just now, I don't only teach English. I teach other subjects as well. And today I would like to share with you my lesson in history. So history is regarded as one of perceived as one of the most boring subject because it's about facts, it's about textbook. So instead of making it boring, I tried to bring elements of games inside. So here, we were actually learning about the different races in Malaysia. And I asked them to list down all of the races, ethnicities, suku, sakat semua. I asked them to do it and list down on strips of paper. And then I tell them, you can go all around the school and do whatever you can to find out the information. So this kid here is trying to get the answer from another teacher. And these two are smart. They went and borrowed smartphones to use the Wi-Fi in the office to Google search the answer. Then they presented to me what kind of races they have found. And it's pretty interesting because a lot of races and ethnicities, even I haven't heard before. So it's a learning experience with me. And also, to pass the game, their goal is to not let me be able to cut through their stack of papers. So that's why we need them to list as many as possible. If not, I can easily cut the papers. So some of you might be asking, what is it about the scissors and the stack of papers? It's actually a symbolism. So I said to them that the scissors is like the enemies of Malaysia and it wants to tear down the country. So you need to list all of the races to show a form of unity. So if I can cut through it, that it means they're not united enough. But if they are able to produce stack of papers that are compressed enough and unified enough, it means they are able to defend their unity. Other than that, I also try to gamify some of my classroom management. And for this is Gathering Ninjas.
1,
Basically,
2, 3,
I
4,
want them to
5,
gather at a location
6,
in a short period of
7,
time. Because the
8,
thing is,
9, 10.
see?
Good job, everybody.
So the thing is, kids will take all the time in the world if you ask them to come to gather to a space. So this actually helps me to reduce the time, the precious learning time, by asking them to gather like ninjas, because ninjas doesn't make noise. So less hassle as well. And finally, I also gamify the duty roster chores, because I noticed that my kids weren't handling the tools properly. They were sweeping the wrong way and they were throwing the rubbish the wrong way. So we made a game out of it. So the kid is trying to sweep the rubbish. And for this one, I noticed that my kids were using the rubbish bin way too roughly. So I created a game to teach them how to lightly tread on it, so we won't be breaking any tools, cleaning tools. Okay, and the last one, gamifying other learning opportunities. So one unique thing about my kids, they really love to come to the school in the afternoon. So when I'm busy, I will just give them toys, educational toys for them to play in the staff room. But when I have some free time or I'm on my break, I will play along with them. So this game is called Mirror Actors. I put a laptop and show them a video and they have to mirror the actors.
2 steps out. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps back. Stop! Sana realizan. No.
What's that?
Okay, and the last video for today is actually a boat race. So on a beautiful rainy afternoon, we decided to create some paper boats and then play them in the drain. But we noticed that the boats sink very easily because it's made out of paper. So we modify the boats by using crayon, oil-based crayon, so that the water won't easily get into the boat. And then we just have fun with it. We go around the school compound trying to test our boats. So you see, learning doesn't only have to occur in classroom. There are a lot of other learning opportunities out there. And the kids have fun. So the big question is where to start. Because when we talk about gamification of lessons, most of us look like this. Okay, because we feel that gamifying lessons need way too much work, way too much time. We have to teach around 3 to 4 classes a day. Why we need to think of how to gamify our lessons 4 times a day, and then tomorrow we do another 4 lessons, gamifying lessons, and another 4 days, another day. So it's very taxing for us. So we feel that it's also hard to come up with a game. And all those frustration made us believe that we are not creative enough. So all of this is actually because what we were trying to do is to create a perfect game like Monopoly. Because Monopoly is an all-time classic favorite. And we're trying to come up with Monopoly for every single day, which is, like I said, very taxing, very exhausting. We try to think of the game mechanics, we try to think of the rules, how the process will be. So how to overcome this is to just stop trying to invent Monopoly and start simple. So here, I'm going to share with you some cheat codes on how to gamify lessons. So the first one is to create a fancy name. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a fancy name. You just have to give a name to your game. So you tell your kids, okay, listen kids, today we're going to have to play a game. So it's called the number game. And the kids will be all excited already, just hearing the name of the game. And then we can also create a goal, a target. So of course, every lesson we have learning objective, but the point is to verbalize it in a fun way. So we said to the kids, okay kids, today your target, your goal is to be able to spell 5 words. And if you achieve those goals, you will win the game. So kids have their focus on what they want to learn that day. They are motivated to achieve that goal. And for that to happen, you need to chunk your lesson into different stages. Because this is actually scaffolding in disguise. We do this in class all the time, just that we don't give a specific name to it. We don't verbalize it. So, for example, if you want to teach essay, you can tell them, okay, kids, there are 3 stages that you need to pass. The first stage, the first level, you need to be able to write sentences. The second level, you need to be able to write a paragraph. And the advanced, the master stage, you will need to be able to write a whole essay. So gamify it from simple to complex, or from one activity to another activity. Next, what we were trying to do earlier on is we tried to gamify the content, which is very hard sometimes, most of the times. So instead of trying to gamify the content the whole way, why don't we gamify the process instead? For example, when you want to call your children, your kids, to answer questions, don't just call out their names. Don't just ask them to volunteer. You gamify that process. For example, you can use a jar with names inside it and then ask them to pass around to a melody and stop when the music stops and pick up a name. Or maybe you can use applications like the offline wheel generator. And then there's a lot of other simple games just to help with the process, just to gamify the process, make it fun for them. And finally, all of this is aided with rewards and consequences. So rewards here doesn't mean that you need to give them prizes at the end of every single lesson, because if you do that, you will feel a burn in your pocket. Okay, so you can always opt for giving points, collect points, badges that they can rotate. So at every lesson, different groups will be able to wear the badge, and if the next team wins, they have to give the badge to the next group. So all kind of things you can do, and it can also involve praises, and sometimes a goal itself can be the reward. Being able to accomplish the task is a reward. So it doesn't have to be expensive for you to reward them, to gamify your lessons. So basically, what's the point of this? The point is not the game itself. You don't have to create the most creative out of the box game. You don't have to create another Monopoly. No. The point is to have fun while learning, to spend quality time with your kids, and build relationships. Because 5 to 10 years from now, the kids won't even remember what they have learned. Some of them might not even remember our face, but what will stay with them is the feeling of excitement when exploring, the feeling of love when bonding with their friends, the feeling of wanting to learn, wanting to go to the school. And after that, learning will naturally follow. So thank you for listening. So I'm sorry if I take up too much of your time because I'm only given 10 to 15 minutes. So if you have any questions later on, you can always find me at Miss Azia Writes. I have a Facebook page where you can find materials. I share materials over there. So thank you for listening, and I hope everything you will be able to be with your kids and enjoy time with them while learning. Thank you.